hold on, sorry. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to record.
We're doing
whatever. So whoever is coming into this late, just look up Martin Literary Management. The website will share all the stuff you just missed. And we also, we are full service. So we also do the film and television adaptation rights. The owner, Charlene Martin, is a force in that field and is an executive producer on a number of clients' books who have their stories have been adapted for television and film and animation. So for me specifically, I represent everything from picture books, chapter books, middle grade, young adult, and I love the graphic format in for children of all ages. I don't represent adult books. But if I have a client who like goes, has children's books and wants to advance into adults, I'll pursue that, but it's not what I typically represent. And as an agent, what I do with my clients is I work with them to make sure that their books are exactly where it should be. I have a client right now who's an author and illustrator. So he has a bunch of different story ideas that we're fleshing out, prioritizing which of his projects we should go out, pitch for, making sure that his writing is equally as polished as his artwork is, and that they flow well together. And then I put together an entire proposal package, which is similar to a proposal package that authors and illustrators pitch to agents. I do a similar thing, but more in depth, where I pitch to editors. And that includes a synopsis of the book, comparable titles, and preferably within the last 3 years, to show that this topic and theme and content is all relevant. And also so editors are more familiar with the books. And what else? We do a whole marketing plan, what the author is willing to do, whether it's blog tours, podcasts, create a YouTube video, all different, go into classrooms, schools, those kinds of things. And then the biggest part that we put together is why this book should be published. There could be a bazillion books about vampires, but this vampire is a special vampire because XYZ. So that's why this vampire story has to be told. And surprisingly, vampire stories, like I know people have gotten a little inundated or saturated with them for a while, but they keep coming back because it's like an age-old tale that people will forever love if there's a new spin to them. So when you're creating, I would recommend, as you're creating, think about why is this book a book that should be published? What sets it apart from other stories? What sets your artwork apart from other artists? What makes you uniquely you? But also, how does it compare in a similar manner to other books that are selling? So those two things combined, which I know can, seem like tricky to put together, but I think that's really useful. And I think it also helps writers and illustrators become stronger in their craft, because they really have to dig down into what is the heart of their story, what is it about? And it might help you think outside the box in ways you weren't thinking. So that is basically what I do with my clients, is the brainstorming, getting their stuff together perfectly. And then I set up meetings with editors, just at different imprints. I'm doing research all the time, looking at what are different editors looking for, and how do what they're looking for relate to what my clients have, or seeing if they're interested in books I'm interested in. I particularly love thrillers, mysteries, contemporary stories. I love reading slice of life stories. So I look for editors that have those similar tastes, and then I reach out to them and say, hey, we haven't met yet. I'd love to set up a Zoom call and chat with you. And then we talk about what they're interested in, what I'm interested in. I share some of the things my clients have, and then that drums up a lot of excitement for when I do send that pitch to them. So I guess that's probably it in a nutshell. I don't want to just ramble at a classroom. So
That's okay. That's what we do. We ramble.
yeah,
too.
if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions yet?
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah.
I know that was really great. If you have a question for Sarah, you can raise your virtual hand right now, and then you'll come up to the front of my screen. But it doesn't look like anyone has a question. Oh, Mel, I see you kind of raising your hand. Okay, go ahead, Mel. Unmute yourself. Oh, we can't hear you. Got a gigantic microphone and we still can't hear you. It's not working.
Yeah, type in your question in the chat, Mel. It's totally fine.
Yeah, that's okay too. And then let's see.
I know I've
Everyone
got
is-
questions, but I don't.
Well, Caleb, you can ask a question
Mel,
too.
Mel should go first. Mel should go
Okay.
first.
Oh, here come the hands. There they
There you
are.
go.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like Mel's question
That's an
was, what is a
excellent
big no-no for submitting that people do all the time?
Great.
I love this question. This is a great first question.
Oh, this
Thank
is a
you.
good question.
Because I often sit at my screen wondering what people are thinking. Not everyone, clearly, just the things I'm about to tell you. Sometimes people write Dear Sarah Martin because our literary agency is Martin Literary and my last name is not Martin. So I maybe will forgive that, but any other like wrongdoing in the query, I'm like, you didn't know my name and you clearly don't know what I'm looking for. Anyone who sends me a query for a genre that I don't represent is an automatic no. I don't care how great the story is, and I'll get to that. It's because, for example, a lot of people send me adult novels, and they'll call them young adult. And I know that's, young adult can sound like maybe it goes into early 20s and maybe you're in college, but a lot of them are like in this thriller, veteran detective James Hawking, just like goes into, and I'm like, okay, not even a college kid. I don't represent this. So that's an automatic no. People who just write hi or don't even have a salutation and then it's like obviously a spammed email, like every agent in the universe has received this. And then another no-no is when people say, because I know you love blah, 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 I'm submitting this to you specifically. And it's often things I've never stated I love, things I do not love, things I have not requested to represent. So I also feel that's a spam. So all of that to say, when you're ready to query agents, please do your research. I do really appreciate when people do know something specific about me, like because you represent this person, I feel my books are similar, or because you are really looking for, like I just posted on Twitter in my manuscript wish list that I want a thriller set in El Yunque in Puerto Rico. And it's like, if someone is like, because you want a YA thriller set in El Yunque in Puerto Rico, I'm submitting to you. Yes, I'm going to read that full query. I'm going to read all your pages. I'm going to look at your art because that is exactly what I want. So do your research, and you don't have to say to an agent because of your interest in XYZ, if you're not entirely sure what they're looking for specifically, but they represent graphic novels or whatever else you create, you don't have to include that information. But if you do, get it right. I hope that's helpful.
That was super. That was a great answer.
Great question, great answer.
That was a great question and great answer. I did tell the class last week how I was with you while you were reading some queries and and how funny that was to hear your response to some really inappropriate or just no queries. So thank you for that, for sharing that with us. Let's see, I'll go to AB. AB, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question to Sarah?
One thing I would like to ask is, what is the one thing that you would like to see artists put in their packets that most artists do not even think about?
Oh,
Nice. Another good one.
so, okay. So, well, first I'll share, I guess, the different pieces of a package I would love to see. I would love to see the sample artwork of what you're working on. The text can be a separate manuscript. If it's a novel, it can be together or separate. I used to be a graphic novel editor, so I'm used to reading scripts next to thumbnails and pairing the pictures and text together. I like a full synopsis of the book, including the ending that hits all the target plot points. I need to see in a short version that story and that you can get from A to Z, and hit all the points. One thing I think many people may not think about, or at least I've noticed, is if you are writing a historically excluded identity or culture or any folklore or anything that is outside of your own specific experience, I would like to know how you're related to that identity. Because if I can't see a connection, I'm automatically going to pass, because I only want to represent authentic stories. And I think this is, important for all agents. So if I'm not certain if this is an authentic representation, I'm just going to be safe and pass on that. But if I can see that you're immersed in the culture, not that you have to share the same identity, but if you want to write about a Puerto Rican teenager and it's set in Puerto Rico, you can say, my spouse is Puerto Rican. We're in Puerto Rico every summer. I live there half the time. I'm fluent in Spanish. I'm fluent in the customs. Like that shows that this story, this culture. So I think that's something that people may not always think about when they're submitting, and they probably have these connections, but as an agent, I want to see that you have that connection.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Yeah, the own voices, #own voices is really an important thing that we want to make sure that we're, talking about. And, this is a very diverse class, so it's good that they know that. So let's see, Jeff, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, I would. Thanks so much. Hi, Sarah. In addition to the pitch package, I'm assuming you'd probably want to check out a portfolio or a website. What are you sort of looking for in those regards?
That's a great addition. I forgot to mention that. Yes, I would love to see portfolio links. Instagram links worked as well. I know a lot of artists have, love showcasing their artwork there. What I like to see in a portfolio is a range of what the artist works on, what styles the artist works in. Not that you have to have a lot of different styles, but for example, when I was looking at Larissa's artwork, I loved all of it, but I had a specific vision in my head of what I wanted. And so when she came on board and I saw she had that vision, in her portfolio. And so when I met with her agent and, when we started working together, I said, I am looking for this specific style. And I pointed out the illustrations that matched the style I was looking for. So she knew how to illustrate the book that we were creating. So I think showing those different types of styles, even if they're drastically different, even if some of it's your, grown up, I'm not an artist, so forgive my poor lingo, like grown up, like black and white, hard edged ink versus, very like fluid, younger, watercolory, designs. Like I'd like to see that, whatever that range is.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for that question, Jeff. Yeah, I think it's definitely a great idea to, put yeah, you have to absolutely put your artwork links in your pitch. And it's great to know that, Instagram isn't a acceptable form of showcasing your work. And I know a lot of artists are getting found through their work that they post on Instagram. And having a range that you're strong at is really great to know too. So, and just from my experience, every time that I've been hired for a project, it's always been with the additional information that they will show the images from my website that they are wanting the style of this particular project. And then that is really helpful too. So when you're doing, children's book illustrations versus like more black and white, young adult or middle grade novels kind of thing, that kind of work, you can have all that stuff on your site, and that would be appropriate. So, okay. Thank you for that question, Jeff. And Brigitte, go ahead and ask your question.
Hey, thank you. Hey there, Sarah. I actually pitched to you at the SCBWI pitches, so it's nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yeah, anyways, I had a quick question about, so after you start representing an agent who submitted a GN, what do the next steps look like?
That's a great question. It depends on how polished the work is. So usually the next step is fixing any parts that need to be fixed, which could, has taken some people just a weekend. It's taken other people a month or two so far with my clients. I have one client, we have a lot of work to do on one of his projects. So that's even sitting on the back burner, but we're focusing on other projects first that are more ready. And so then I also have a submissions worksheet that I ask the client to fill out on the book that we're going to pitch. And I have them do a little bit of their own research of what are the comparable titles, which when you're looking for an agent, if you know the comparable, like at least two comparable titles for your book, you share that with the agent in your query letter, because it helps us visualize what we can expect from the book. And so similarly, I do the same, and it helps editors visualize where the book will land on shelves. So I just ask people to fill that out. It doesn't have to be perfect because I do the little, editorial polishing spin on that. I just need the information. And then I send it out to editors. I also share the list of who I research to see who I would want to send this specific project to. And I share that with the client in case there's an editor on there they do not want to work with, which has happened. Or if there's an editor I didn't add that maybe they met at a conference like SCBWI and said, oh, this editor really loved my artwork or my story when I pitched it to them. Can we add this editor to our list? And of course I would add them. And then I have gotten responses as quickly as 11 hours later, and I have gotten I'm still waiting like 2.5 months later for responses from people. So we kind of sit back and wait at that point.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Brigitte. And let's see, Lauren Taylor, go ahead.
Hi. For this past assignment, we had to put together a pitch pack and everything. And one of the hardest parts for the assignment, for me at least, was writing the synopsis. And part of the behind that is because we were told to reveal everything. And I guess my question is that do you have experience with artists being hesitant about sharing the work? And even so, is there protections for creators of any kind that when they send out a pitch packet that says how do artists feel, how I guess what's the word, intellectual identity or something, like IP or whatever, how do artists feel, how can an artist feel safe when it's sending out their stuff basically?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question to ask. So just to be clear, when in the query letter that you write, you don't have to reveal the ending. You can do a quick little synopsis that gets my interest and makes me want to know what's going to happen. But then you also include as a separate document the full synopsis. So it is, a lot of people are really always worried about their their work being taken by other people, which, that has happened in the past. I don't mean with agents. I just mean like that happens.
Right.
Sadly. But the good news is with copyright law, something that you have created it's automatically copyrighted on your computer. So you have proof that you wrote it at this date, like it's date stamped, like whether it's in Microsoft Word or any other software or the Adobe Suite, whatever you're creating in, that is yours. If it's ever something does get stolen and you recognize like, whoa, this is mine, like you have proof that you are the owner. And then you can, which would not be fun, but take to court or whatever. But as far as in the publishing industry, we want to get people's work out there. So I wouldn't really be concerned about agents or editors, because I have to submit the full package to editors. And if you're a novelist, not a graphic novelist, I have to submit that 300, 400 page full novel to an editor. So like there is also a paper trail in that. So, I really wouldn't worry too much. But that being said, there are people out there who claim to be agents, because anybody can say, oh, I'm an agent. You can just declare yourself an agent and do as you want. And so my advice is definitely make sure that you are only sending things to reputable agents at reputable agencies. You can see Publishers Marketplace is a good place to see. We are all registered on there. We have to be. At least my agency makes us, like it's mandatory. So I guess I can't speak for other agencies, but we're all on there. The editors are on there. So I think that just be careful who you send to.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's really great. Okay, thank you for that
Is it
question.
possible for me
Lauren.
to put just a tiny little full stop at the end of that?
Yeah.
This was told to me. It's never in an agent's best interest to take anybody's IP. No, it's like the last thing they want to do is say, "Hey, you have a great idea." Suddenly, it's my great idea. They want to sign you. They want you to do the work, not them. So it's literally never in an agent's interest to be like, I'll take your great idea and sell it myself. They want you to do the work because you're the one who get the idea in the first place.
Yeah.
And
This was told
publishing
to me a
is such
couple
a
different
small,
times.
yeah, thank you for and publishing is such a small world. Like the saying goes, if you upset someone in the publishing industry at 9 a.m., everybody knows what happened by 5. And it's not like clearly the entire publishing industry, but children's literature is like such a small little niche. Like we all know each other. We like all know someone who knows someone that, especially when, bad things happen in publishing, like my phone starts dinging all my friends. Have you heard? Have you heard? Have you heard? So, yeah, we're not interested in trying to take anyone's idea. We want to sell your ideas and build your careers.
Yeah, for sure. That's very, very good to hear. All right, Juan.
Thank you.
Hi. We wrote the synopsis and the script and everything, but so far we've talking like if you're going to sell like one book. But my doubt was more about like if you have the idea for like a book series, what exactly is the process? I mean, like Scott Pilgrim is not only one graphic novel; it's at least 6. So do you write a single synopsis for the 6 books and send it? Do you have the idea for the 6 books? Do you have to clarify it in the first contact with the editor?
That is a really great question. So I would only give a synopsis for the first book. My recommendation is to make sure that your first book could stand alone without needing those extra books. Which, it seems hard. Like it doesn't mean you have to wrap everything up, but it needs to feel like satisfactory. Some publishers are wary about publishing series, especially with a new author. So they'll say, well, let's publish this first book, and if it does well, we'll do the rest. And then you have them all lined up, which is wonderful, which they also love to hear. And they may say, can we see your ideas or an outline for those stories? So yeah, I would recommend just pitching the first book, but you can say this is, book one of a series. And also when I'm looking at clients, I'm asked if I'm reading a pitch package that I absolutely love, I have a conversation with that person and I'm like, what else do you have? Do you have other ideas? Because my goal is to build careers, and not every agent works this way. Some agents want to do book by book basis, but I want to know, like, is this what you want to do for a living? Do you want to keep creating books? And I want to help you, like, I want to be with you along the way as you go and help build you up.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, we have, we're coming up at the 2:33 mark. So I wanted to check in. I want to respect your time, Sarah. Is it okay to take one more question?
Yes. And
Okay.
did we have any questions in the chat? I saw dings, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we did. Let's
think
see.
The only one for sure that did not get addressed that I think was good was Gia asked the best online platforms.
Oh, what are the best online platforms for finding agents and their manuscript wish list? Is Twitter a good place to start?
Twitter is great. Hashtag MSWL is where we put what we're looking for. You can also do manuscriptwishlist.com. I cannot say that.
Third one, yeah.
You can also do that as well. And you can do searches by genre, by keyword, by editor or agent. You can also do a search, like a Google search for children's book agents or adult thriller agents or, graphic novel agents. But then, like, just to get a list, but then please do your research, because some of those people on there may be shady. They may not be legit. But at least you'll get a list of names that you can go through.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, kind of ran out of time. I don't want to take up more of your time, Sarah, because I know you've got tons of manuscripts to read and queries to read and stuff. So thank you so much for being here today with us. You guys, give Sarah like a Zoom applause kind of thing. Oh, Caleb, did you have one question? Because I want to make sure you didn't.
No, I was great. No, this was so fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay.
I
All
just
right.
want to plug, if anybody wants to query me, you can find what I'm looking for. I'll type it in the chat. You can find my wish list and how to submit to me. I do not accept email queries, but I go through a query manager, and the link for that is on my website. And I'd love to see your packages.
Okay, well, maybe we'll be sending you some. Right, class? All right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, you as well. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay, well,
That's so cool.
that was great. Did everybody feel, how does everybody feel about that? Do you feel like happy that you got some information, comments? Yeah, good information, right? Super enlightening, Ijeoma. Good. Okay, you feel radical, Ryan? Awesome, helpful, made the process tangible, very informative. Great. Okay. The series thing was my biggest doubt, since a lot of famous books are series. You know what? I'll tell you that when we submitted our graphic novel pitch, we submitted a full package with this, everything that we talked about, and with the intention of it being a series. And we had put little blurbs about what book 2 and book 3 would be about, but we really focused on making sure that it would, that the first book would stand alone. And so when we had offers, we did have offers of, the series. We had a 3-book series offer. We had a 2-book series offer, but we ended up going with the 1-book series, the 1-book offer. because just the pay was better and the money really spoke to us. So that's the direction that we went in. But Lauren Pierre, who joined us for the Ask Me Anything a few weeks ago, she submitted a series, and she has a 3-book series, graphic novel. They're like not younger readers, but they're, I think, middle grade, and they're shorter too. They're 96 pages. So that's a lot easier to manage than a 240-page graphic novel. Just about to pass out just thinking about it. So yeah, all right. It is a yikes. All right. Am I okay? No, I'm not okay, but that's all right. Thanks for asking. I will be okay. I will be okay. All right, let's talk about what we're gonna do today. What we're gonna do today is, first off, I want you guys to share in the breakout rooms your pitch packages. Some of you put together actual pitch packages, and that wasn't due till next week.
Yeah, you guys
Lauren,
crushed it.
Brigida,
Amazing.
y'all are just killing it. But you know, that's awesome because you guys already like did the work. But I think hearing what we heard from Sarah, I think it would be a good idea to kind of go into the breakout rooms, and you guys can each share what you have in terms of your queries, your elevator pitches, and making sure that they helping each other out with what you've got, asking questions, making sure things resonate with other people in your group, and getting feedback, I think, is a really important thing to do. So I've looked through some of them really briefly, and it's just really great stuff in here. So Caleb, have you had a chance to look at any of these yet?
I have not.
Okay, well,
I've been kind of crushed with my own stuff, but to be honest with you, I've briefly skimmed them, and I haven't had a chance to actually do a proper evaluation on them. But from what I have seen, this has been there. I mean, just the length and the breadth of the different pitches that we've seen so far with the synopsis and the overview and everything. I feel like some of you are more hesitant, and some of you are definitely chomping at the bit to do more. And to be honest with you, they're both right. You're both perfectly exactly where you need to be when it comes to that. But I don't want to but like I said, I haven't done a proper evaluation, so I'll reserve whatever notes I've got. But if I may, like at the end, after we have a proper look at them, if it's possible, I'd like to be able to give a couple of suggestions that my friend Caleb, who not related to me, different Caleb.
Not you, Caleb, different Caleb.
Now it's a totally different Caleb. He's actually a writer, whereas I'm the artist. And he's done a ton of graphic novel scripts, and he actually had some really fun things to suggest or share. So maybe after the breakout rooms, I could, talk to you guys for like 5 minutes about it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Caleb Red and Caleb Blue. Okay, how many do you think we should put in a breakout room, Caleb?
Ooh, no more than like 3 or 4, I think.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance
Yeah.
to chat, and we might cycle through them faster that way, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it'll give everybody a chance to sort of share them a little bit better.
Okay, let's see here. All right, so I'm gonna we're gonna put you guys in breakout rooms, and I'm gonna make sure that when I put you guys in breakout rooms, you can share your screen so you can share your packages with everyone. And how long should we do this? Should we make it like 20 minutes? 15 minutes? What do you think?
I would say at least. Can we do it till 3?
Yeah, let's do it till 3. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, open all rooms. Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay, let's see. 3 to 4. So, oh, it's mostly like, yeah. People. All right. We're gonna, yeah, we'll go to a little after 3. Okay, here we go.
This is still recording.
Okay. So here is Brigida's beautiful cover for her pitch package. We've got a really great cover with the characters IRL in real life. We've got them in their game and disconnected. Okay, and they're the titles. Super awesome looking. All right, so let's look at this log line, which is a great log line. Super quick, super efficient, gets us right to the point. When 2 childhood best friends are torn apart due to a messy divorce, they must navigate their new long-distance friendship both in real life and inside a video game. Okay, inside a video game. That is really intriguing. How are they gonna, this is totally relatable. This is totally relatable. People have friends online that they play with in video games, and this is something that's totally relatable. So this is a great log line. So we've got our overview of the characters. Emma Prescott and Minji Kim are closer than best friends. They're what Minji calls un myungs in Korean. They complete each other's sentences, have a secret handshake, and can defeat the hardest boss in the video game, Elveny Online, in under 5 minutes. One day, Emma receives news that changes the course of her friendship forever. Minji's parents are getting divorced, and she's moving across the country. With a little help from Elveny Online, Emma must learn to navigate her new long-distance friendship or risk disconnecting from the only friend she's ever had. Disconnected is a middle-grade graphic novel about growing up and growing apart through the context of their daily lives and inside a video game. Disconnected shows the grief of losing a best friend, the struggles of mental health, and the magic of friendship. So we've got a really great overview of a little bit more about what the story's about. So that's kind of like your elevator pitch, in that the elevator pitch is your log line, and then like the really quick overview is really it's an overview, but the synopsis is longer. Okay, so you've got other details. This is great. Create an 8 by 11 in digital format. Comp titles. All right, in real life, Pumpkinheads and Scott Pilgrim. So Sarah had mentioned that comp titles within the last 2 to 3 years are good. I know I'm familiar with Pumpkinheads. I don't know when that was put out, if that was within the last 3 years. Maybe it was within the last 3 years. Maybe it's older, but I would think that would be okay. It's hard to actually find comp titles in general. So, but I think that these and Scott Pilgrim, those are, well known, I think. So I think that those are good comp titles. All right, our characters. We've got each of the characters and then a description about each, which is fantastic. Let's see. And then we have the actual synopsis. So let's see. And this is great. It's very long. I mean, no, I don't mean that it's very long and that it's very long. I mean that I don't want to read over the whole thing. But the overall package that you have here is really good. So what you would want to add, and of course, I'm sure you're going to add that, is the sample pages and the additional designs that you have, and a couple of final art images for your pages. So I think this is a really shiny, it's a really shiny package. It's really great. Okay. Let's see here.
Can I just point out,
please?
Alexandria I'm pointing out what Alexandria pointed out, which
Mhm.
is that you used your own character design as like a watermark on this page, and I didn't even see it until Alexandria pointed it out. And seriously, Brigida playing on a different level. I am
For real.
I'm so impressed.
That's really nice. Yeah, these are some really great touches that you've done in this package. This is really fantastic. And Brigida, you did say you had pitch this already? Did you sub this to, who did you sub this to? Have you subbed this to anybody already?
No, I haven't submitted it. Basically, for our pitch, we had like 2 minutes to kind of talk through. I was the only graphic novel, so I only showed the title page.
Mhm.
So I haven't submitted it officially to anybody yet, though.
Okay, well, let's see. This looks like it's nearly ready to submit to maybe even Sarah. Okay, yeah, this looks great.
I had
Okay.
like some minor editing things, but I didn't even get to the synopsis. But it's
Go
like
ahead.
it's already got like a tagline. This is crazy.
Mhm. Yeah, the whole thing is really polished. It's really great. All right, and then I didn't read through the synopsis yet. I'm sorry, but we'll go ahead and look at that.
It's very good.
It is. It's beautiful. Let's do like the Zoom applause. I'm trying to like, I don't see anybody doing the hands. Come on, everybody do the hands. All right, thank you. All right, let's take a look at, let's go back and you've got your pitch PDF.
Great job. We'll
there.
get a C+.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and then I wanted to look at where is the Wannabe Hero packet there. It's Lauren Taylor's. Okay, Lauren Taylor. All right, so Lauren's kind of got nearly a complete package here, and then you've even got the index here of what is coming up. So this is fantastic too. Had I asked Sarah to stay for an hour, I would have showed her these, but she's gonna see stuff anyway. Okay. Elevator pitch. All right. After settling for a mundane life in postal work, Vivi the vampire. Vivi, that's awesome. It's like the Vivi, they look like the teeth of a vampire. Vivi the vampire has been hoodwinked back into her former mercenary life with the underwhelmed human princess Ada and the overdramatic android Neo in order to save Ada's kingdom and maybe even their world.
Maybe
Awesome.
even their world.
That's beautiful. Format, great. Target audience for teens. Oh, will be created on 11 by 17 inch digital canvas. Oh, look at you, even got into that with 9.9 or 4 times 15.28 binding size and 9.19 inch and 14.53 inch default border size. We really got into it. That's great. Comp titles. Wannabe Heroes, the whimsical nature of the McElroy Brothers, The Adventure Zone, and DreamWorks Kibble and the Age of Wonder Beast, plus the grand mythology of N.K. Jemisin's The 100,000 Kingdoms coming together to create an Afro fantasy tale. This is fantastic.
Larissa, I have a question.
Please.
So will you scroll up a little bit?
Yep.
So when this when they go so much more into like their formatting, is that something that you've included in your pitch pack?
No, you don't need to.
Okay. I mean, I think it's really interesting as an artist. It like informs me, but I didn't know if
You don't need to.
Yeah,
You can say, you can say the size that you think that it should be, but those are all decisions that ultimately a publisher will kind of make. But if you've given it thought and you're like, yes, it's going to be 0.53 inches by such and such 0.25 inches, I'll be like, well, okay then.
Okay, cool. I was curious.
And yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you don't have that information, I wouldn't worry about it. I think having like a rough size, like 9 by 5, 5 by 9, or 9 by 6 would be fine.
It's
too.
okay to get away with just the finished
I think
printing size or whatever.
I would think so. I think that's not ultimately that's not what's going to make or break your package. These are just like, this is what I thought about. So that's the thing. It's not going to make or break your package. It's just information that you're telling them that, hey, I've thought about this. So that's good. All right, so you got your characters and your setting, your main characters, and then you've got your model sheets. I think, yeah, these are fantastic.
Those are so adorable.
Mm-hmm. You've got a
Wait,
lot of
Egan,
characters.
do they
Sorry.
not have eyeballs? You know what? I'll save my questions for later.
Oh, I remember these characters too. Who, Egan? Oh, Egan has hair covering up their eyes. Right?
Gotcha.
But eyebrows, which is extremely important, Lauren, because if you have no eyes, how else do you express emotion? You need the eyebrows, right? That's great.
Classic.
Okay, we've got some great character sketches, posing, and oh, see, there are the eyes. There's even eyes underneath, and these are fantastic. So good. Oh, lots and lots of characters. All right, and then how many characters do you have, Lauren?
Too many. Like the
That's
main
great.
cast is just the three, but like I have a lot of supporting cast basically. So
Are
Okay.
these characters, are they a little older here, or are these earlier iterations?
so the first few pages, that's when they were all kids, and then the second set is when they're like 20, 21 year olds, like young adults and stuff. So there's a time skip.
We can see Egan's eyeballs.
Yeah.
I
I'm not sure how
wonder.
I feel about that.
I wonder because, okay, so here's something that I'm going to say. The character, just the sheer amount of characters that you have in this package is so many. And I would
Yeah.
say you want to curate it down and make it more succinct so that someone isn't getting like super overwhelmed. Because on initial looking at this, it's like, oh my God, why are there so many characters? And if you're not sure, then you'd be like, oh, I don't understand that these are the younger versions of the characters and then those are the older versions. So you may want to go to putting the younger characters and the older characters on the same page and then information about that particular character. So it's a little bit more succinct. And then it's really easy to grasp, oh, okay, we're doing like a time shift or, or whatever. I think that would make it a lot more succinct. So you just have to, rearrange all of these things in a way that's a little bit more easy to swallow.
So what you're saying is putting the younger version next to the older version.
Younger version with the older version, and then you can put the description of that character. And if you wanted to put that, the way Brigida did hers with her three characters, the three main characters, if you wanted to put like maybe 2 sets of characters on a page, that would be really great, I think. So it's funny, but you have probably more than you need for, which is fantastic that you have so much developed. But at this point now, you really have to think about like, what is the most essential thing? Because now it gets to the point where too much can be confusing. And then people are like, oh, wait, what's going on here? I don't know why there's this or why there's that. So you want to give them just the most essential information that they can look at, because if you just so you know, because I had stayed with when Sarah's from the East Coast, and she came to Santa Barbara and I visited her, stayed with her for a couple days, and I was with her in the room when she was going over queries, and it's like like she goes through them really quick. Okay, so it's sad because we all labor over our love of our projects, and then they just get this really quick look, and so you really have a short period of time to reel them in and to get them hooked to what it is that you're doing, and you want it to be as clear and succinct as it possibly can, and not confuse them or overwhelm them because they have so many manuscripts and queries that they want to look at. So overall, this is really great. You want to pare it down is that's my suggestion for you, Lauren. Everything that you have is really, really nice. So like definitely that, strong character drawings, you can tell. But like how many pages is this? 25. Okay, so yeah, you want to make sure that you have, okay, like, so your synopsis, that's
too long.
No, it's yeah.
This is great to have for yourself though, honestly. Like this is good for you to refer back to later, because like I had some people in my breakout room who also had super long synopses, but part of me was just like, but this is actually like great for your archives, and obviously you could just have the luxury of just paring down kind of what you already wrote.
Right.
Yeah, make another draft, make it like, wannabe hero synopsis 2.0, and then take this, what you have, and pare that down into the most essential. So you really need to edit it down. Yeah, editing is hard. Editing your own work is really hard because you're like, but no, this is all so important and everybody needs to know this. And there's this little detail over here. And it's like, well, do we really need to know that? So I'll tell you, Lauren, if you just tell yourself, I need to get this down to a page, then you really have to cut stuff. And what is the bare essential? So you have this beautiful package, which is just like overflowing with information. And we're like, no, we need to like move back a little bit. So I think that's where you could work to strengthen your package. Okay.
For sure.
Okay, fantastic. But I think this is great for everyone to see. Caleb.
Just really fast. Nothing. I just want to reiterate what Eden said, which was that none of this is wasted. This is all valuable stuff, especially the like the length of your synopsis. Sure, crop it down, but save what you've done. Because none of that's going to be wasted. The older versions, yes, maybe put a separate document at the very end, going, oh, and by the way, if you're interested in a part 2, boom. It's like halfway designed. So, and that's just one more thing for your agent or your editor to just be like, yes, I want to see more. I want to see this too. But it's like, these are all just so much, these are all such great decisions. Everything here is speaking volumes for your powers as somebody who can make creative decisions and solve problems creatively as well. I feel like this is really strong stuff, Lauren. You should feel really accomplished with this.
Well, thank you so much. Thank y'all.
This is a lot, and it's great.
Yes. Okay. So you guys, Sarah is saying, hey, make a critique group. You guys get together and form a critique group.
I think we might have to do that. Let's discuss that in the Discord. I think this is a really good idea.
Okay. I want to show more Taylor Blues real quick, and then I know you had you wanted to talk about Caleb. All right, hold on one second. So
I want to talk about what?
You wanted to talk about Caleb. So I want to look at this real quick and then let you talk about Caleb.
In a minute.
Yeah, in a minute. Is that okay? Okay. So we're looking at, you guys can still see my screen, right? Yeah, okay. So this is beautiful. All right, so we've got Gentleman Goblin by Taylor Blue. Oh, there you go. Contact, portfolio, Twitter, table of contents, beautiful. Production, like it's animation. Production, 120, 150 pages approximately. Oh, good for you, Taylor, putting in that timeline of how long it's going to take you to complete. Thank you for doing that. That's good. So then they won't be like, okay, this is great. It's August. Can you get this to us by August next year? And you'll be like, no. See, I already said 18 months, please. Audience rating, T for teen. Logline, an uptight city is turned upside down when a bankrupt Effa Brewster makes a deal with a pair of mischievous goblins in order to save her family from debtor's prison. That is a beautiful logline. We know who, we know what the obstacle is and what she needs to do to overcome it. Okay, fantastic. Got it. Let's see how long your synopsis is. Very nice, 1 page. Okay, we got the character bios. I love the way you've done them in this old style portrait way.
The
That's
little
beautiful.
cameos.
Yeah, that's very, very clever and fantastic stuff. All right, so yeah, before you actually do this in, sending it out, we need to make sure that all these things are silly little pictures that aren't lining up with your things, But of course, that's small and little things that can be moved around. If worst case scenario, you can like do this in another program. Oh, I love that. This is a great little fun thing of your little That's you, yeah?
The fact that the last sentence here, walks in the park getting chased by geese, and it looks like you're getting chased by geese. I
I
feel
need
like
to see the
that's,
geese. I
well,
need to, I mean,
you have to
no,
imagine
you don't
the
have to. I can imagine the geese, but since I've lived with ducks before, I kind of want to see that. Anyway, it was a great package. Fantastic. Okay. So then all you would do is you would add your sample pages and your color. Okay. Thank you for doing such awesome work. And Caleb, you want to go ahead and talk
Oh,
about?
just really, really fast.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a friend of mine who also happens to be named Caleb. It's embarrassing. The less said about it, the better. And he is a writer and a really accomplished one. He's written for DC. He actually created a Batman villain, which is probably one of the coolest things you could possibly do in comics.
Who did he create?
He created a character by the name of the Raven, who is probably the worst villain to ever fight Batman. Literally, the whole book is the Raven spending his time in jail, plotting his revenge against Batman, and then, when he's released, like within 10 minutes, he gets clobbered, bat cuffs, back in the Batmobile in jail. And then he's like, yes, but next time. So literally, the whole idea is just him in jail, like imagining this relationship that he has with Batman, who literally could give a crap about the Raven, but he's like imagining himself as like Batman's greatest nemesis, even though he gets me like 5 minutes every time. One of these days, I'm gonna get him, and then he'll remember the Raven, and like meanwhile, the people around the Raven are just like, "You're kind of a joke." He's just like, "Yes, yes, that's right," except that line's already taken by somebody else. I'm the Raven.
That's funny. That sounds like someone
Anyway,
I know.
so yeah, but anyway, so Caleb Monroe, that's his name. But he's a really, really great writer, and I was listening to him talk to me about some advice that I would like to tell you guys. Some really, really simple advice. Some of it a little unorthodox. The most orthodox one is probably, of course, to read. Read as much as you want. You know, if you want to be a better writer, that means you need to read. Read a lot. Read books that you normally don't read. If you don't read a lot of historical comics, do so, even if you don't like it, because it's not that you don't like it; it's that you would do it differently. You know, figure out where your strengths lie, when it comes to solving creative problems. Read March by the late John Lewis. Okay, even if you're not a big historical comics fan, because it will show you things that you would do differently. He also says he's also like, if you want to know what you're like as a writer, I would recommend going into therapy. And I'm just like, well, not only is it healthy for you, and people, there is still a stigma about it. People are like, well, there's nothing wrong with me. That's not what this is about. Going into therapy is about figuring out who you are through somebody else's professional eyes. Okay, they will analyze who you are and give you a professional opinion, an honest one as well. So you know who you are, so how you work, because everything you do as a writer, as an artist, is an expression of yourself. So figure out who you are. What are your bad habits? What are your good habits? That's what their job is as a therapist, is to figure out what those are, right? So, and if you have healthcare and you live in the United States, take advantage of that. If you don't live in the United States, I'm jealous, because that means you probably have better healthcare than we do. There's another, and when it came to unorthodox advice, he's like, I really wish I could remember who said this. It was a woman at this. He listens to a lot of podcasts. There's a podcast that he listens to called Writing Excuses, and if I can, I'll try and pop it into chat. It's literally 15 minutes long. Okay, it's the world's shortest little podcast, and it's put together by a bunch of writers, a bunch of authors, who do all sorts of crazy genres. Some of them do fantasy, some of them do suspense, and they're like literally 15 minutes long, and it's all about trying to conquer that demon that we all have, which is, I can't write because I don't feel like it, or I don't want to write because I'm no good at it. And one of the people that they interview on this podcast suggested that there's two, that, you know, yes, you are a writer, but you're also a reader. Okay. And you've been reading a lot longer than you've been writing. Okay. So writer you, when you're doing your evaluation of your editing, your pitches, you're editing your synopses, writer you should step back, and reader you should step forward and figure out what it is that you like about whatever it is you're writing, and tell writer you the good stuff and maybe what you should leave out. And then reader you can step back, and writer you can take charge. And he's like, that blew my mind when I heard that, because he's absolutely right. She was absolutely right. The person he's quoting, that he can't remember, that there's that reader you has been doing this a lot longer than writer you. So listen to reader you, figure out what you like, and just to take care of yourself. That's the most important part. You know, use all these tidbits of information and helpful little hints that we drop onto you in order to make yourself feel good, you know, and to improve yourself as a writer and an artist, because all this is an expression of yourself. And if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not feeling great, or if you're not feeling that healthy, give yourself a break. There's nothing wrong with not writing for a day or a day or two. You know, as long as, you know, when we have our little critiques, or whenever we meet, that you have something, even if it's just a paragraph. Okay, does that make sense to y'all? I hope I'm not blathering too much.
That makes total sense,
But
Caleb.
yeah. I want you guys to remember that there's lots of different aspects to what we do, and analyzing ourselves, figuring out what makes us tick as writers and artists is kind of part of that job. And sometimes we don't have to do it all. Sometimes it's okay to ask other people for help, to edit, or to give us feedback, or even sometimes to help us feel better about ourselves. Okay, so I will now shoosh, and I'd like to be able to see if we can actually ask Caleb in for like a writer's workshop.
Yep. Let's do it.
And see if we can't, because I know he would have a lot to say, but I think it might be just as valuable if we all say it. So let's see if we can try and, I'm going to see if it sounds like, and chat's kind of down with that idea. I'll extend an invitation, and maybe they'll drop into the Discord, and we can set up a workshop or something like that.
We can set up a workshop. We can set up a workshop class on Zoom. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Something
And
like
it could
that.
even be a recurring thing, even if it's just for like a critique class, like people were suggesting.
Okay, let's talk about that. That would be good. I do want to address some things that you had said. Let's see, Nadia says, agreed on therapy being super helpful for analyzing ourselves. Yep, it's good. What is the name of the podcast again? Tawny asks.
I put it into chat. It's called
Writing
Writing
Excuses.
Excuses.
Okay. Cool.
Like I said,
Thanks.
it's a quarter of an hour long, and it's all just about writing. You know, there's some of it that doesn't really pertain to what we're doing, but almost all of it pertains to creative expression. So it's worth listening to.
That's great. I do want to say that in the process of writing the graphic novel that I'm working on now, that the way that I was able to edit it was shifting from writer to reader. And that was the only way I was able to. And my collaborator isn't a reader. So that part was hard for him, because he couldn't do it. But because I'm a voracious reader, that's something that was easy enough for me to do. So if you can do that switch, it's very helpful in terms of being objective about your work. In fact, one of the things that would happen is after we were done working on it, sorry, I would get emotional about reading it, because you look at this thing and you go like, wow, this is really amazing. And if you can distance yourself from that, It's great. Okay, I'm gonna just pause the recording really quick. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and, so if you were in the Drawing for Animators and Illustrators class, then you saw this and I didn't finish it, but I'm gonna try and finish it now. So, coloring, Caleb,
Yes.
I'm gonna say something. I don't know if, okay, so this character here has leggings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so.
They do now.
Yeah, they do now. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is coloring, the last 20 minutes of class, and how you can color your work. So the brushes that I'm going to use for this particular thing are Woodland Wonderland brushes, and they're really fun. They're really great. They're like gouache kind of textural brushes. And in terms of coloring your work for a graphic novel, yeah, this is Photoshop. I have both Photoshop and Clip Studio open, so I'm going to show you both today. But in terms of coloring a graphic novel, what you want to do is create a workflow that is efficient. Okay, so you don't want to color the way you color your illustrated pieces. You want to color this like this is just a machine, you know, go through the process. So I'm going to show you the way that I've done this particular thing, and then I'll show you how I'll color a panel in Clip Studio Paint. But one of the things, and if you're familiar with this already, then fantastic. But if not, that's okay. I'm going to keep my color wheel open to the color wheel so that I can we can talk about warm light and cooled shadows, or warm shadows and cool light, either way. But you can see the color wheel here. And I did this yesterday for the Drawing for Animators and Illustrators class. This was the thumbnail that we used, and I have the line art on a separate level. Okay, so you always want to make sure you've got your line art on a separate layer, and you want to please layer, please label your layers is what I'm trying to say. Right, this was a color comp that I had done here. And by the way, I'm gonna just close all these really quick. I had created like a basic, real super fast color comp for this, and it's not even complete because I wanted to get this done in a short time. But you can create a color comp for oh man, that's what I should have shown. In fact, I'll drop that in the resources. Color swatches for your entire graphic novel, but just in terms of just coloring the 3 color pages that you need for your pitch package, you could do this for some of your pages. So what I did was I chose one of these here, and then I copied it and pasted it up here, and I used that as my eyedropper. I would pick from the eyedropper tool. So this was my clean, quote unquote, line art, because it's not really clean, it's rough. And what I did was first I colored the background. Okay, and for my yes, assembly line, Shirley, that's the word I always forget. Assembly line. You want to make this kind of like an assembly line. For the graphic novel that I'm working on, my art director has asked that I have the background elements separate from the characters. Now, your editor may want something different, but I think in terms of just creating it in ease so that you can adjust your characters individually from the background, you want to keep the characters. I would suggest to keep the characters on a separate layer from the background. So keep your background on a separate layer. And what I did was I basically just took my lasso tool, created this whole space, filled it in, and then took my big brushes and started painting everything in. Okay. And then when I went to the characters, what I did was I did the same thing. I actually, and I'll show you what I did is I basically took the lasso tool, selected and drew around the whole character, filled it in with like a god awful color, and then have that character on its own layer. Okay, that one particular character. Usually what I'll do is I'll put all the characters on one layer, but that way, when you have your character on one layer, you can lock the pixels on that layer, and then you can use a large brush to paint everything in that you need. Okay, and you also want to have your color sheets separate, like either if you're working on Photoshop in another window so you can pick the colors, or if you're working in Clip Studio Paint, you can use the subtool view, right? So these go on a separate layer, and you can just do flat color. You just want to get the flat colors in. And then what you want to do, this is for, at least this is what I'm doing this for speed, is I create a shadow layer and a light layer. And I know Lauren Pierre does this because we've talked about it. And it's super easy and it's beautiful, but you create a shadow layer by creating a layer, layer over top your characters. And I put it on multiply. So if you guys haven't done this before, this is what the shadow layer looks like on normal at 100%. Okay, so I basically take a purple or, you know, a shadow like purple or violet or something, and it's usually around, it's around here. It's like a mid-saturated color. It's not too intense. And then I paint in the shadows. But when you put that onto a multiply layer, what the multiply layer does is it turns it into a gel, a transparent layer. And then if you reduce that opacity to a little bit, about like 40%, then you can control the intensity of how dark that shadow is. And what that does is it just acts like a shadow layer. It, you know, it just darkens everything underneath it. And I've got this particular shadow layer. It's not locked to this layer. So that means that if I wanted to put shadows on, I go back and I'm going to color pick the color on here. So I'm going to pick this color here, and that shows you where it's at. And what I can do is I'm going to go back and reduce that down to about 45%, reduce this to multiply. Where'd it go? Multiply. And what I can do is I can use the shadow and lock this to just my character layer. So if I put my two characters, I have this character here and then these two characters here. If I put these two characters in a group, I group them, and then I press control. Let's see, I can do this. Can I do this? I want to lock this to, I can't remember how to do that. Oh, there we go. Okay, by pressing Alt and I hover in between the group, what's going to happen is this multiply shadow layer is going to lock to the pixels in this group. That means that anytime I paint, it's only, hello, am I on the right? Why isn't it showing it? Oh, because I have locked the pixels. Let me unlock this pixel layer there. Okay. So that means that anytime I paint the shadows, it's only going to lock to my characters there. It won't do any shadows on anything other than my characters. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. It's really super easy and fun to do. And I can look at the shadows in the tonal value sketch here to make sure that my shadows are matching the tonal value of that. Okay, I have the same thing with a highlight layer, and the highlight layer is an overlay layer, and that is, I'll show you what that looks like. If I turn that on, that's the highlight layer, and the highlight layer is at normal at 100%. It's this yellowish, whitish looking color. Okay, this color right here. So it's just it's literally like the opposite of the shadow. It's purple shadow, yellow highlight. If you're using blue shadows, then you might want to use orange highlights. If you're doing something that's like in the moonlight or in the dark, you might actually opt for the opposite. You might actually opt for cool shadows and warm highlights. But either way, when you do your shadows, you want to put your shadows on a multiply layer, and then you want to put your shadows on an overlay layer. And what that does is it just lightens that up. And I'm going to put this at 40%. And I'll do the same thing with this. I'm going to hover over there, pressing the Alt key. And I think that will, yep. So when I do that, and it's at a lower opacity, now what I can do is I can add the highlights to, I can add the highlights to my character really fast. Okay, and if I make a mistake, you know, that's fine. All I have to do is erase it. I don't have to render anything out. Okay, so this is one really fast, super fast way of creating highlights and shadows for your work and your characters and so on and so forth. And then you can also do the same thing underneath on your background layer. Let's see. So this is, I'll show you how this works. In this particular layer is locked. The pixels are locked. And so what I would do is I would say, if I want to paint the sign, I'm going to paint the sign by capturing it with a lasso tool. And I usually, when I use my lasso tool in Photoshop, I'm on the add selection, not just the regular lasso, but I usually like to go on the additional. So that way you'll see that it has a plus sign so that I can just continue to add to my selection. If I want to subtract it, then I can use a keyboard shortcut Alt, and that gives me a subtraction lasso tool. Okay, so then what I can do is just, I can paint this whole thing in either with the paint bucket tool, or I can get my gigantic brush here and I can paint this sign in whatever stinking color I want to. And okay. So at this point, now that's all selected, I can keep it selected or I can deselect it, and I can, oh wait, no, I want to keep it selected because, let me go back. I want to keep it selected, that's fine. And then I can go in and use a large brush. Whenever you're coloring, you want to really kind of try to use a large brush as much as possible, because it'll speed up your process of coloring. Okay, so that's kind of the process of doing that. And then I can go and do the same thing. I can make a multiply shadow layer, and here, where did I go? Multiply, and let's make that reduce that opacity, and I'll choose a shadow color. And then what I can do is paint in any shadows in the background anywhere, wherever they are. Okay. All right, and I can do the same thing for the highlight. All right, so that's super, super quick. I'll show you now. Let me say that really quick. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When we hit like 3:55, we have like 7 minutes, by the way.
Oh, geez.
Is it possible for me to show a really quick alternative coloring thing?
Yes, totally.
Very cool.
Okay.
But I don't want to get in the way too much.
No, that's fine. I'll do this really quick actually, because I just wanted to show the process of doing this. And Photoshop is the same as doing it in Clip Studio, but in both Photoshop and in Clip Studio, there are ways that you can create actions so that you can speed up the whole process. So I have up here, I made an auto action, which it looks like a little sun and a moon. And basically what this does is it allows me to create it to make the shadow layer and the light layer immediately without having to take all those steps. So I'm going to go and choose, let's see, I'll just choose, I don't know which layer I need to be on. Let's see here. My balloon. Oh, that's the one. Okay, let's go on this layer here.
I have to learn how to do this.
Oh, I don't know how to show you how to do it now, but I can. Okay, so here's my characters. My characters are all on one layer. My background is all on another layer. And so what I'll do is I'm going to pick a new layer here, and that's going to be my character. Okay, and then this is what I love in Clip Studio is I'm going to go to the no, not that one, this tool here, the lasso fill. And what I'll do is just, and I got to go to my sub view. You guys just bear with me. I know we're almost out of time. The sub view tool the sub view is the place where you can keep your characters, and you can upload your colors for your characters, and then you can just let's see, I'm going to switch this to switch to eyedropper, and now all I got to do is click that, and now I've got the color filled in immediately. So I go to character color. I'm going to zoom in really quick. Zoom in, not that big. Bam. What? Yep. Okay, so that's his color. And I can do that for the whole thing, or what I can do is I can do, I can select, do the same process that I did before with taking the whole character, selecting it all and making it all one color. Like I'll do that for this girl back here. This is Anusha, she's tired. So, and this is really ugly, but okay, so now that's all filled in. And then what I can do now that it's all filled in is I can take that, lock that layer here. Where's the layer lock? Where's the layer lock? Pixel lock. And then I can choose the colors for her here. And that'll fill in her face and her, I know this is not the right color, but you see how I can grab outside of, let's see if that works there. Nope, didn't work. Okay. But these are ways that you can color things really quickly without literally painting things, okay? And I think here's what I was going to show you. All right, so let me show you what this little button does. So when I press this auto action, watch over here in my layer stack. It should work. Okay, so what that does is it's automatically made a shadow layer and a highlight layer. So when I go in here, all I have to do is choose my highlight color, and it's gonna make these things like highlighted. And if I go in here and I choose my shadow color, it's gonna make things, brush, it's gonna make things shaded. It's supposed to. It's supposed to, but it's not. I don't know why it's not working. That's weird. Oh, everything is slowing down. Okay, so that was my ugly, dirty demo. All right.
That was amazing.
Real quick, just because it was asked, the homework is
Finish your pitch packages.
finish your pitch package and like whatever else you had on like your comic pages you might have wanted to.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, finish your pitch packages. That's what the homework is. Caleb, you want to share?
Well, we only have 2 minutes, and I believe I can actually do it in 2 minutes. Check this
Okay,
out.
do it.
All right, so you guys saw how Larissa made this, by creating a couple of new layers, she was able to create a way of dividing up, your workflow. Here's another way of doing it that I learned last year. All right, so what I want you to do is in Photoshop, you can actually do this in Procreate. You can do this in Clip Studio Paint as well. What you want to do is you want to take your flat colors, okay, without shading or anything like that in it, and duplicate them twice. All right, and then turn off the top one. Can you guys see my?
Right.
Can you guys see my my screen?
Yes. Yes.
All right, cool. It's a very, very quick and easy way of doing this. What you want to do is then, let's call this one your shadow layer. Call this top one that's turned off right now the light layer. And what we're going to do is we're going to darken this one here.
Oh, this is a beautiful way of doing it.
Using curves. And you can use the exact same thing in, like I said, in Procreate, in Clip Studio Paint. I'm just going to darken this a little bit. And I'm going to cool them a little bit. So here, let me see if I can. There we go. All right. So, and then what we're going to do, and then this is very, very important. You want to mask them.
We'll be back.
Awesome. And then fill it in with the mask color so that it's opaque. Do the exact same thing with the light version. So we have cool shadows. Let's put some warm highlights in here. There we go. And do the exact same thing. You want to create a mask layer and fill it with black.
I love doing this actually. This is fantastic.
This is a crazy fast way of doing exactly what Larissa was just doing. So if you want to create, and again, now I don't have any flats or anything like that here. If you want to, all you need to do to create some highlights is then see what you can do. What you're doing is you're erasing away by painting with white. You're erasing away the black opaque pixels on the layer. Now this is a little bit more, magic hour, I guess, but you can always change it.
That's the magic about this, is that you can adjust the colors. This is a non-destructive way of creating your highlights on a piece.
Exactly.
And
if you want to put in, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the amount of room you have for adjusting the color is so much more, intense that you can do it this way. I wouldn't do this, I don't know, I would do this more for like a finished piece rather than because I have so many layers that I have to keep separated. But this is a really fun way to do it too.
This is for like a single illustration, maybe not a really busy comic book page, but it's a different way of doing it, and you can it's non-destructive. You can turn it on, turn it off. It's just a really fun way of making all your shadows pretty consistent all the way across.
It's beautiful.
And all I'm doing is I'm painting with white. I'm not changing my colors at all. Boom. It's exactly the same thing underneath all that stuff. That's it.
I love it.
And it's 4:02. I went over by 2 minutes.
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad you did. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Right. Does anybody have any questions before we let you go?
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being so awesome and helping each other out. Gosh, I love this class so much. Anyway, you're doing great. Continue working on your pitch packages. You've got some fun things to add to your little homework list, but that's about it. Just continue polishing them. Add your pages that you've done so far. It doesn't need to be a full 10, but just continue adding things as you work on them. Okay, so if you've done some work on your colors or on your line art or anything like that, continue just pop them in there so that we can evaluate it.
Yep.
Good
All right,
work,
you guys.
everybody.
Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Bye.